to work on, projects we're going to clear off our table in the coming new year. Some of those things may be very serious. They may be legal issues that you have not been taking care of. You may be coming to the end of a limited period for filing a lawsuit. Statute of limitations may be running. Maybe you're thinking about other lifestyle changes like checking off the box for writing the will, or you've had enough with the relatives and the in-laws and the spouse, and this is the year you're going to make a family law change. Call in your questions tonight. The 31 Law Call number 256-536-0077. You can call in and be live on the air with us, or you can text your question to that same number. You can also email a question any day of the week on any legal topic. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. You know, we also stream the show live on Facebook. So if you're ever out of town and you got relatives and you want them to watch, it is always streaming live on Facebook at WAAY TV, Facebook, or Timberlake League and Brooks,
that's right.
Facebook. We've got with us Heath Brooks from Timberlake League and Brooks.
Nice to be here.
Happy
New Year.
We're practicing saying 2026, 2026,
That's
2026.
right. I know you write. Just when we were just talking, just when you get used to writing 2025, here it is, 2026. You know, but Happy New Year.
How many checks are we going to mess up, for those who still write checks?
It's a good time of the year, though, to try to reset, try to figure out some things, check some boxes that you need to check. You know, to get your will done. You know, do the things you've been putting off legally for a while, and you know, we're answering those questions today. And call us and ask us anything. Yeah.
Well, we get some calls locked in and some text messages locked in. We've got some video for you tonight. So take a look at this truck. It's about to happen right here. Out of the blue. Woo! This guy's very lucky with whatever it is. It's coming. Is it a tire coming off? An explosion? Tires are more dangerous than you think. You know, because you guys do personal injury cases. Just a tire coming off.
You know, I was driving down I-65 coming from Birmingham one time, and I saw a big tire that was a tractor trailer tire bouncing in the road coming right towards my vehicle.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, barely clipped my car. Of course, there was no tractor trailer that I could say had done it, but barely clipped my car and did about $6,000 worth of damage. I was okay.
Thank goodness.
No way I could avoid it, but I have handled a bunch of situations where tires have come off and then they have caused really bad effects. And you know, a lot of times you don't know, you can't pinpoint whose car the tire came off of. Other times you do know. Sometimes, you know, you go to get your oil changed. We've had this situation. You go to get your oil changed. The people who are changing your oil are rotating your tires too, and they just forget to tie in all the lug nuts. And all of a sudden your tire goes bouncing down the road. Whose fault is it then?
Yeah.
Is it your fault? Is it the people who had changed, done the tire rotation, and we have been able to hold you know, the folks who did the tire rotation accountable in that scenario, and in scenarios like that. Sometimes if the tires aren't properly maintained, then they can blow out if you have retreaded tires. So you know, if you can pinpoint who is responsible, where the tire came from, what vehicle the tire came off of, then you can oftentimes find out whether that tire had recently been changed or that vehicle wasn't being properly maintained, and that person in that video may be able to get a recovery. The other thing is, and the other thing you got to consider is that if a tire is bouncing down the road and you can't pin it off on a vehicle, then was a phantom motorist involved? And phantom motorist is a legal term of art under Alabama law, which basically means there's some negligent party, somebody did something wrong, we don't know who that is, it's a phantom. So oftentimes your own insurance company, your uninsured motorist coverage can take care of you in that scenario if you get injured.
And you recommend always having uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage.
It's the most important, it's the cheapest and most important insurance you can have in the state of Alabama once you get past your legally required coverage of $25,000. And what uninsured motorist coverage is it's coverage that if the person who hits you and causes your injury does not have coverage or does not have enough coverage, then your own insurance company can come in and stand in the shoes of the person who caused the wreck. So it is essential to have 20% of drivers on Alabama roads that do not have car insurance.
So much for it being the law that they've got to, they still don't. We've got callers waiting. We've got Howie on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Howie, thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yeah, I bought a house at a sheriff's sale about 2.5 years ago that partially paid a judgment creditor. I've never recovered possession of the property or asked the person to leave, but they have since recently filed for bankruptcy, and they named me as an unsecured creditor for the amount of the money that I paid to the sheriff to partially satisfy that judgment. Mm-hmm. And they've also listed the judgment creditor as a secured creditor. And I want to know, do I have to file a claim because I don't really want the money? I already have a deed to the sheriff's deed to the property, and do I have to file an objection to the what do you call the plan because they've named the other party at the creditor, the former creditor, as a secured creditor? And can I, if I want to, can I evict these people or eject them from the property without getting a relief from stay from the bankruptcy courts? And something really shouldn't be a part of this bankruptcy.
I don't disagree with you. It's not my area of the law to do bankruptcy, so I can tell you enough to be a little bit dangerous. But I'll tell you what I do know is that anytime you got a trustee that is consolidated all the potential debtors, that's the key. There is a potential creditor and a potential debtor. You are a potential creditor. So in a pound of precaution, you were likely listed to the trustee as a potential creditor. And there should have been, and you should have gotten, a notification of a meeting of potential creditors where you could go and you could air whatever grievance you may have. Maybe they claim that you're an unsecured creditor, but you're secured. And I know in your situation how it's neither one of those things. You don't believe that you're a creditor at all. But what you need to look for, and you need to make sure you do this, is that there is a meeting of the creditors. And then at that meeting, you need to be present. And at that point in time, you can tell the rest of the creditors, hey, look, I don't have, nobody owes me anything here. This is what I have. And so maybe you can clear that up with the bankruptcy court. I can tell you, though, the bankruptcy court is federal court. And a lot of times it can be very persnickety, is what I will say. So you've got to make sure you follow what the bankruptcy judge needs you to do. So that means going in a meeting of creditors and absolving yourself of any kind of payment underneath the bankruptcy. You need to make sure you do that. You may need to file some paperwork with that, with both the trustee and the bankruptcy court. I would suggest you give a bankruptcy lawyer a call to discuss that issue with them.
Better safe than sorry.
That's right.
When it's big
Always.
dollars. We've got Dwayne on the line with a question from Harvest. Hi, Dwayne. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes. Was a lawnmower back in May, and my insurance company is wanting to settle with me for the injuries.
Okay.
Well, I hired an attorney, and their attorney has offered me a quarter amount to what the insurance company has offered me.
Dwayne, let me make sure I'm picking up what you're putting down. You were involved in a wreck, and the insurance company of the person who caused the wreck is trying to offer you some money to settle your case?
No, their insurance company admitted default.
I got you. So you're on a lawnmower. You're hit by a car. The insurance company of the fellow who hit you is trying to settle your case. Is that right?
Right, but okay. I hired an attorney.
Okay. So here's what I say. Anytime you've hired a lawyer to handle a situation for you, what you need to do is, if you can't understand and you don't understand the communication that the lawyer's given you, well, let me tell you, let me start over from the beginning. First off, the person's insurance company that caused your injury should not be communicating with you. They should only really be communicating with your lawyer to begin with, because that's the way the law works in the state of Alabama. Once you're represented by counsel, by an attorney, the only individual that an insurance company should be contacting is your lawyer. But number two, if your insurance company is making you an offer and your lawyer is saying it's less than whatever that insurance company is telling you, there is some sort of disconnect there. What I suggest you do is I suggest you call your attorney and make an appointment to sit down face to face to discuss the issues that you have. And then if you can't get some redress from that, if you can't figure out, still don't know, what you need to do, the state of Alabama, you always have a right to go on and hire a new attorney if you're not satisfied with the one that you're with.
Or represent yourself if you really wanted to.
If you really wanted
to.
to.
Fire the lawyer, represent yourself.
You can do that.
Don't recommend it.
I don't, no.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back talking more about law for the new year. Stay with us.
Pays an advertising fee to the station.
You're watching Way 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is Way 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. Happy New Year. We're talking about the changes in laws and things that you probably like, boxes you ought to check before getting into the new year, things that have probably been on your mind, as well as developments.
You put them off. You put them off, and then all of a sudden the new year comes around. Go get that. Go get your will done.
Get the important things done.
Check the boxes. That's right.
We've had updates this year. I became a grandmother this week. My husband and I are grandparents. Our son Jackson and his beautiful wife Liz Robertson Russell just had Miles James Russell on January the 2nd. We are proud grandparents, and he is just perfect.
He is
little
gorgeous.
Miles, little Milo.
Little Miles. Such a little beautiful little thing.
Thank you. Your baby's getting big too.
I know. We did our annual Christmas hike at Hickory Cove, which is a land trust North Alabama property. That's my daughter's favorite rock. That is the mushroom rock.
Well, it looks like a
trail.
mushroom. Yes, it does.
Yeah, and then there's my lovely wife and my daughter sitting at Christmas was weird this year because it was like 70 degrees.
Yes, it was a wonderful time to go hiking.
We were able to get out and hike on the trails and do the things that you normally are sitting in front of a fireplace.
You do that Christmas hike? Is it like every year you go on Christmas Day, or is it just during the holiday time?
Generally, we like to go on Christmas Day if possible, but generally during that time period.
Staying active, I love it. We've got callers waiting. Thanks for everybody calling in. We've got Sarah on the line with a question from Priceville. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight? Hey, Sarah, are you with us?
I'm here.
There you are. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Okay. Well, I was involved in a wreck in the year 2024, and the person actually rear-ended us. It was me and our opposite, but they rear-ended us, and we was renting a car. But when they sent us they only paid for the car when they sent the check, but the person didn't have no insurance, no tag, or no license, or they had tag but no license, and it was in their mother's name. And my boyfriend at the time, he almost died in the wreck.
Oh wow!
Goodness.
Really serious injuries. So, first off, it's in 2024.
Right.
You've got to be careful with some deadlines, right?
That's right. You got 2 years in the state of Alabama. So, but within 2 years of when you and your boyfriend were injured, you either have to have your case settled or you have to file an actual lawsuit. So, I don't know what part of 2024 your wreck occurred in, but you need to make sure that date, that 2-year date in 2026 doesn't pass you by if you haven't settled your case. And if you have a situation where the person who drove the car didn't own the car, there is an outside chance that there was coverage on the vehicle through the mother. Sometimes when you start running that to ground, an insurance company's not going to do you any favors. They're not going to tell you, yeah, here's where the coverage is, and so why don't you go here? So you kind of got to do your own sleuthing, and it's something that I do every day when I hear from somebody that, hey, look, we don't know whether there's coverage on this vehicle. The people who hit me, maybe they don't have insurance. I'm injured. And we've got to go and do an investigation and see if we can find what all this insurance is available. And there is a possibility that you had some insurance on your car that was available, even though you were in a rental car. So there may be a situation where you could recover on that. But that case for your injuries and your boyfriend as well, it's just something that there needs to be some further information and some further investigation done. So I would strongly recommend you get in touch with the lawyer ASAP on that one. When you rent a car, do you typically take out all the insurances with the rental company, or do you stick with your own? I do, just because I see what happens if you don't take out insurance. It's one of those things is that you see the commercials say, only get what insurance you need, And the problem with that is that you don't know what insurance you need until a bad situation happens. And then you're like, wow, I needed $1 million in coverage, and the insurance company told me I only needed $25,000. And that's the problem you run into. So for someone like me, I prepare for the worst and hope for the best because I see the worst every day. Yeah. And so that's, if I can get more coverage and it's possible for me to do that, I do it.
Let's talk a little bit about product malfunctions. A lot of people bought things. You got new products, Christmas presents. You got new power toys that are out there, and a lot of people can get hurt on some of these things.
Right.
So if something happened, God forbid, something happened with your loved one with something, a toy or a product, give us some rules and do's and don'ts about handling that.
You know, it's kind of close. I had a niece that's turning 16, and her grandfather bought her a new vehicle.
Nice.
And it had 220 miles on it. She drove it to my folks' house. We have Christmas after Christmas. And it's sitting in the driveway, and my brother and I both noticed that there was a ton of oil or what we think is transmission fluid leaking all over the driveway.
Brand new car.
Brand new, 220 miles on the car, brand new. And so tow truck had to come, had to take the vehicle to the dealership. It's still being investigated. And what in the world do you do when you have a brand new car and it's got an oil leak and it's not drivable? And you know, there's laws that protect consumers in that kind of scenario. You got the lemon law, but what you got to do in a lemon law is you've got one, got to be a new vehicle, and two, you've got to give the dealership or the manufacturer 3 opportunities to correct the same problem. So in the case of my niece, what she really wants to do is just give the car back, get her money back, and walk on. The law doesn't allow you to do that. What the law will allow you to do is take it back, have them repair it, and then if it happens 2 times again and they can't get it repaired, then you can lemon the car. And you know, that may very well happen with my niece. I mean,
Poor
you know, we
girl,
don't know.
first car. We've got Michael on the line. He's had a similar experience. Michael from Owens Crossroads. Thanks for calling, Michael. What's going on with your vehicle?
Is somebody?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What's happening with your situation, Michael?
Wait, they told me to cut my sound off my phone, but I can't hear them. Hold on.
Yeah, we're having difficulty hearing you too. Did you have a problem with a vehicle that you had bought?
Okay. You what?
Were you having difficulty with a product that you just got, something that you just bought?
Yeah, we bought a new car, 2025, in maybe October, November.
Okay.
And we drove it off the lot, and we could feel a vibration in it. And when we carried it back, they put I checked the front rotors. It wasn't them; it's the back rotors. You know what them are?
Yeah, the back rotors, the brakes.
Yeah. Well, they put them on, went back left again, and it started on it. So we called them back. We went back, and they had to replace the front. And I didn't know. I thought it's a new car. You having to replace 4 new rotors.
It's not right.
It doesn't seem right to me, and you know, it could be that there was a manufacturer's defect with the actual company that was manufacturing the rotors for whoever you bought the car from. But the unfortunate thing is that when you buy a new car, most of the new cars are going to have a 3-year, 36-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty that's going to cover anything that may tear up from 0 miles or 0.5 miles, or you driving it off the lot, to 36,000 miles. Rotors are one of those things that is generally not covered in extended warranties like 10-year, 100,000-mile warranties, because it's one of those products on the car, one of those parts on the car that wears out and needs to be replaced periodically. But they should have not failed when they're driving off the lot. You're exactly right. It could have been exposed to excessive heat. Sometimes that can warp the rotors. There's a lot of things that can happen that can cause a malfunction of the rotors. I don't know, but I would make sure that the new ones that they put on are, you know, up to standard, and that if you have any issues, make sure you take it back, because if they can't get that rotor problem repaired, it may be something different than your rotor. It may be your calipers that are not functioning appropriately. So make sure you follow up on that if there's any further problems, to make sure you can take advantage of the lemon laws.
They're telling me Michael was also asking, shouldn't they have to give him a loaner car in the meantime? Is that any part of the lemon law?
You know, no, it's not. And I've personally gotten into this with a dealership. The dealerships, if it is not in your contract that you have to have a loaner car while your car is being repaired, the dealerships don't have to give you one. And so what the law is and what the law should be are two different things. I think that if your car malfunctions when you've driven it off the lot, they ought to give you a loaner car. I can tell you that if that's not the case, that's not a dealership I'm going to be returning to.
Yep, and I'd be telling all my friends too.
That's not a dealership I'm returning.
If you got a toy, let's talk about a toy or some kind of product defect like that,
Right.
and you need to complain about it. Sometimes the company will say, mail it back to us and we'll fix it or we'll do something about it. Is that a good idea or not a good idea?
You know, if the product malfunctioned and caused an injury, it is not a good idea to mail it back to the company. Because the general rule in the state of Alabama, you have a claim if your product has a manufacturer's defect and causes an injury to you, your children, somebody that you know. And so those are situations where you can file a claim under Alabama law. The Alabama Extended Manufacturer's Liability Doctrine is the fancy legal law. So, but the number one rule, unspoken, unwritten rule with a product liability case, and that's what they're called, is that if you don't have the product, you don't have a case. So if the product malfunctions, then you need to keep the product and you need to contact a lawyer. Okay. For recalls and things like that occur with toys, before you're injured, the Consumer Product Safety Commission is where you search for recalls.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're concerned that some toy that your child received is messing up, then do some research on the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They'll list what issues have been had with that particular product and if there are any recalls that you need to be aware of.
But otherwise, hold on to it.
That's right, yeah. If it causes an injury, hold on to it.
Okay, we're going to take a break. Be right back, answering more of your questions. It's Law for the New Year.
which pays an advertising fee to the station.
If you haven't gotten your questions answered tonight, here's how to reach Heath Brooks with Timberlake, League & Brooks. They're in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com. And if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon does family law, that's divorces, child custody, and the like. She can be reached at 256-539-7337 or www.sharonfamilylaw.com.
We got a question texted in asking about Alabama laws regarding e-bikes. Does Alabama have
There's no separate law for e-bikes.
Okay.
E-bikes have to follow the same law as all other bikes, which means that the bikes have to follow the law of all cars on the road.
Just like a motorcycle.
Just like a motorcycle. The one thing that you may want to look at e-bikes is that when there's some properties like the Land Trust in North Alabama, state parks, federal parks, things like that, that may allow mountain bikes, but they don't allow e-bikes.
Oh, that's
so
interesting.
There is some differentiation of law in those kinds of things. But otherwise, same as a bicycle.
Stay safe while you're out there and enjoy your new e-bike that you got for the holidays. We'll see you next week.